Email is what separates the amateurs from the pros because the amateurs take this one and done approach when they're trying to sell their product. They post it on social media, they have a one-off conversation, they do a webinar, they do an event, and then when they don't get the sales they're hoping for, they basically give up. But the pros recognize that emails fill a gap in every kind of marketing campaign. Because with email, you're able to systematize the process of first nurturing your leads and really following up until you can convert them into an offer over time. Because the truth is that most leads, most prospects, they're not ready to buy right away. I've had people on my email list for up to 10 years before they bought a single thing from me. Now, that's an extreme case. However, you may meet someone today that's not ready to buy for another month or 2 months, or maybe not ready to buy today, but will be ready to buy 3 days or 5 days or 7 days or 10 days from now. So until you master the art of selling through email, of really following up with your leads, you're always going to be leaving money and impact on the table. So my name's Marisa Murgatroyd, and I've done over $30 million in online course, product, and program sales. And pretty much all of those sales involved email in one way or another. Whether it was that first email that got them into my world by inviting them to sign up for a free ebook or a webinar or whatever it happens to be, and then all the follow-up to get them to actually read the ebook or show up to the webinar, and then all the follow-up to get them to sign up and buy from me after they start to engage with my free content, and just move them through the process of getting to know, like, and trust me all the way up until the sale. Now, my very first email campaign was in 2013. I call it my accidental email campaign because I, at the time, had maybe a list of 3,000 people, not a lot. And I kind of sent a series of emails out to my audience in the period between Christmas and New Year's to really allow them to kind of get ready for the new year. And then after those emails, I was like, wow, I just gave all this great content. Now I wonder if I can invite them into my online course. So I just created one by one 4 additional emails to kind of launch my course to them. And I remember I was traveling in Bali on vacation and I brought in $5,204 in just a matter of days. And this was an email campaign that wasn't even really an email campaign. I just sort of did it ad hoc. And since then, I feel like I've really mastered the art of email campaigns to sell your product. So I wanted to share some of the things that I've learned over the last 10 years to really maximize building that relationship with your potential customers, leading all the way up until the sale so they want to buy from you. And you're not leaving all that money on the table. And the first thing that you've got to really understand is, what do they need to know and what do they need to believe in order to say yes to you? Because marketing is really the process of creating the attitudes and beliefs and conditions someone needs to say yes. And a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think marketing is about selling your product. And this is why I recommend thinking in terms of email campaigns versus single one-off emails. Because a one-off email might be, hey, go buy my stuff. But when you think of a campaign, you think of this series of emails with a beginning, middle, and end leading to a very specific result, which is the sale of your product. So when you start to craft that, you can start your campaign in a way that maybe begins with stories. It could be the story of you discovering the solution that you now want to offer them. It might be the story of overcoming objections that they may have had to actually signing up, or the story of how they may have tried and failed to get the result that you now offer, over and over again, and why this is the solution they've been looking for. It may be the stories of people that you've worked with that have come through and started where they might be starting right now and got these incredible results. So you want to think about a campaign. It could be a series of anywhere from 5 emails to 10 emails, maybe even more, that really introduces the story of what you do and who you do it for. It really overcomes objections. It provides social proof or case studies. It creates that future self-vision of who someone's going to become through your product. It answers the big questions. And of course, as you get towards the end of the campaign, you kind of heighten the urgency and give people these last chance to buy emails. So there's a reason for them to sign up now, and that's super important. And I'm going to come back to that in just a bit. But the next thing that you've got to understand is that This is kind of something that Steven Pressfield, who wrote The War of Art, also wrote a book called No One Wants to Buy Your Shit. And, really the title of that book says it all, because so often when people are writing sales email, they're just talking about their product. They're like, here's my product, go buy the product. And the thing you've got to understand is that you want to lead not with what you do, but what you can do for them by really relating your product to them, what they're looking for, what they need, who they are, who they want to become, and meet them where they're at. Actually join the conversation they're already having in their own mind about the problem you solve or the result that you deliver. And a lot of people are like, well, how do I know the conversation they're having in their own mind? And the answer is you got to talk to them. You got to actually get to know your potential customers. And so many people lead with what they do versus what they can do for their customers because they haven't taken the time to do the market research to really learn who their customers are and what keeps them up at night, what they kind of desire, what they've given up hope they could have. And when you take that time to have those conversations, you're going to be able to integrate everything that you learn into your emails. You can actually use the things that people tell you right there in your emails. So everything that you write in an email needs that so what factor. All right, great, you have an offer. So what? Why does that matter to the person who's reading it? Because nobody wants to buy your shit, right? So the next thing you got to understand is that there's a very specific story that you need to tell about your product in addition to relating it to your customers and in addition to helping them go through the journey of what they need to know and believe before they can say yes. And there's 3 very specific things that I recommend you share about your product in an email sequence. And those are part of my experience formula. And this is my experience formula here. And the first 3 core experiences that you want to embed in any good marketing campaign is your mission, your future self, and your bird's eye view. So the mission is exactly what your product is going to allow someone to be, do, feel, have, overcome, or achieve. And I'm talking about very specific details because so many people aren't clear about the transformation they offer through their product. And I teach that you want a mission that's so clear and specific that someone could photograph themselves crossing the finish line. That means making the promise or the result concrete. All right? And that kind of relates to the future self vision. So you're also contextualizing the transformation of the result that you offer through your product in the context of someone's life. How will their life look different once they've achieved that transformation? At the end of really taking your product, program, course, whatever it happens to be. And then finally, the bird's eye view, which is what's the exact path that you offer to get them there. So you make a big promise here in the mission. You show them how their life is going to be different through that promise, that future self vision of who they're going to become. And then you show them exactly how you're going to get them from mission to mission accomplished. How are you going to get them across the finish line in a way that nobody else can? Because it's not enough to make a big promise. You want to also show the proof of how they're going to get there, that you've got them, that you really have them covered, that you've got a path to that destination. You're not just making promises. You know exactly how you can help them get there faster, easier, more effectively, or in a proven way. So those are the things that you want to make sure you include in the narrative, in the campaign sequence. And it's not necessarily the first thing that you're going to write in the very first email, but maybe it comes in that email number 3 or 4 or 5, where you start to kind of establish that story of your product. And these are 3 core details of the story of your product that relate what you do to what your customers really want to receive and accomplish in their own life. And if you want to understand the full experience formula and how to embed all 10 core experiences, both in your marketing and in your products themselves, I've got a webinar that you might want to sign up for. It's a free masterclass, and there's a link in the description below. So go ahead and click over to watch that webinar, because this is going to help you write even better emails and also create better products as well. All right. But I'm not done yet, because there's like two more things that I want to teach you about writing emails to sell your products. And the next is that it's very, very important somewhere, especially towards the end of your email campaign, to give people a reason to take action now, to buy right now. Because according to like the American Psychological Association, something like 40% of all human beings are chronic procrastinators. That means that they put off making a decision in their life for as long as possible. So if someone can sign up next week or next month or next year versus today, why would they actually not wait to make that decision? And a lot of times when people wait, they just don't make the decision and they don't end up signing up and buying from you. And you miss the opportunity of not just making the sale, but really helping them transform their lives. So this is where you really need to understand marketing psychology. How do you create really genuine urgency or scarcity so people feel that pull, they feel that fear of missing out because there's a reason for them to sign up now? That could be because you have special bonuses. It could be a discount. It could be, they don't want to wait to get the return on an investment, or maybe even the cost of an action. That's called the COI, the cost of an action of waiting. So it's very, very important to kind of, in this story of your product and in this marketing campaign, to create enough of that urgency and that fear of missing out for people to feel like they're going to make a choice, whether that choice is a yes or a no. You want to create enough of that kind of drive and that tension for people to make that clear decision rather than waiting forever. And that leads us to the fifth thing that you want to know. And that is making sure that you've got a very clear and very specific next step. A lot of people call that a call to action. So in an email campaign to sell your product, that call to action can be to go to a sales page and sign up. Or maybe it's to get on a conversation with you to talk about the possibility of working together, or to fill out an application, to express their interest. Or it could be to jump on a webinar or get some kind of product demonstration. There's all kinds of CTAs. So you need to understand, what is your process for enrolling someone into your product? And based on the price point of your product, that process could be different. If it's a kind of low ticket product, like $100 or less, going straight to the sale is really oftentimes the best way to go. But the more expensive that product gets, the more you need kind of a more in-depth conversion event to really drive the sale. So email assists getting people into that next step conversion event. So whatever it is that you sell, you want to make sure that you understand the next step, and not only that you understand it, but you make it clear in every single email you send. And that next step can change over the duration of an email campaign. So early in the campaign, you might send people to a conversion event, and then later in the campaign, you might go direct to sale. So you want to understand how the conversion events and the call to actions and next steps also change throughout the course of an email campaign. So those are 5 things to really consider when writing an email campaign to sell your products. So first of all, you got to understand, what does your audience, your potential customer, need to know and believe in order to say yes to your product? And then you've got to, change your own narrative from talking about what you do to what you can do for them specifically. And a way to help you do that is by integrating the big 3 in the experience formula of mission, future self, and bird's eye view, and then giving people a reason to take action now. And oftentimes this isn't just one reason, but it's a whole series of reasons. And finally, always give a clear next step in every email that you send, even if those next steps change over the course of an email sequence, a series, a campaign. And remember to think in terms of campaigns versus single one-off emails, because you're going to want that campaign arc that goes from them just finding out and entering the campaign all the way through to the conclusion, which is making the sale. All right, I hope that was helpful. Leave me a comment down below so I know exactly what you're taking away. This is about a decade's worth of experience condensed down into a very short YouTube video. And if you want more videos like this, check out my videos on how to create an online course in 60 minutes so you've got something to sell through your email campaign, and how to get clients as an online coach without having to have this big brand or anything like that. Just how do you get started getting customers? All right, go out there and live your message.